the Northern Food and Drink Virtual Festival, working with. We will be joined by some of the top chefs around the northern region and some industry professionals doing masterclasses and demos on the 24th and 25th of May. Event Organisation Team. We're also supporting Hospitality Action and supporting them in the work they do.
Hi guys, it's been a great event so far. We've had an action-packed couple of days, and next up we've got Naomi from Studio 28 Patisserie. Hi Naomi, you okay?
Hello, yeah, you alright?
Yeah, I'm good, sir. So tell us a bit about what we're going to be doing today.
Okay, so I'm Rita and myself on a chocolate shop up in Newcastle, and I'm going to be teaching you how to make salted caramel truffles and coconut and lime bars.
Oh, sounds very interesting.
Thank you.
So yeah, let's go ahead.
Okay. So these are the bar molds we use. What I've done to start with is polish them with vodka. The mold itself, when we put chocolate in, will pick up literally anything. So your fingerprints, any dirt left on the mold. So by polishing them with a cotton pad, we're going to make sure that you get that beautiful shine. We love a bit of colour and a bit of kind of making them look really nice. So here I've got some white cocoa butter. So the first thing you need to do is cool it to 27 degrees. So the fat in chocolate cocoa butter has 6 crystal formations, and we want type 5, which will mean that it sets and sets shiny. So if you find that your chocolate isn't setting, it's because you haven't tempered what we call temperate. So what we're going to do is just simply take this to 45 degrees so you can see that it's fully melted. And we've got some ice water here. Thanks, Sean. So what I've got is a little maurice. What I'm going to do is make sure that I'm mixing it continually, because the ice water at the bottom will start to set the cocoa butter. You don't want lumps, you just want to cool it to 27. So I'm just going to mix this as we go, and then what we're going to do is use it to decorate the bar molds. So what we'll do is flick it onto the molds and let it set. Put that aside. Then we will, I've just seen Craig's comment, thanks Craig. What we'll do is set the bar molds aside, gotten distracted, and start making the caramel for the truffles. So lots of people love making caramel at home, and it is a pretty simple thing, but it can get a little bit nerve-wracking because you've got to melt sugar and make sure it doesn't burn. So what I'll do is go through how to do that with you. Right, so I've made sure that I dry the container at the bottom, because if you get any water in chocolate, it will seize the chocolate and then you can't really use it. So that's something to be really aware of. So you can see that this is thickened now. Maybe you can't, it's not great. And I've got a little toothbrush, which I haven't used to brush my teeth, don't worry. And I've got the bar mold. I'm just gonna pop it down here. A little bit of cocoa butter on your toothbrush, and just put your finger behind and flick each mold. So try and direct the toothbrush into the mold and not spray everything around us. Okay. I'm just going to hold that up to the camera now. You can kind of see it. There you go. So I'm going to put that aside, and that'll set while we're then making the caramel. Okay. So 2 processes. We've got cream, condensed milk, and glucose syrup, and a little bit of salt in this pan here. And what we're going to do is bring that to the boil, and then pop it out the way. You don't want to put it on your marble slab, because then you'll warm the slab and we need it cool for later. So just make sure you're mixing because there's still sugar in here, so it's not just cream. You've got a little bit of glucose syrup that will stick to the bottom of the pan and start to burn if you're not really careful. And the condensed milk and the glucose just gives it a little bit of richness and thickness to your caramel, especially because if you want to fill truffle spheres, you don't want caramel leaking out the top of them. Okay, so after this, what we'll do is we'll let it to cool. The best thing to do with caramel is let it crystallize overnight. So what I've done is I've made another batch, and we'll use that now to fill the truffles, and I'll show you how to do that. So this is boiling now. Just going to take that off. And my induction hob likes to boot at me when I'm not on it. Then get a nice clean new pan. And I've got some sugar here. So I'm not going to put that in the pan just yet. I'm going to heat the bottom of the pan up. And that'll start to melt the sugar. And what you want to do is start melting the sugar, and you can see it starting to go clear. And then add a little bit of sugar, and just keep mixing really gently. The more you mix, the more the sugar will crystallize, because that's what sugar does. So you just want to be really nice and gentle with it. Sadly, I don't think you can see inside the pan, but I'll try and lift it up as we go. Do you want to lift up the phone? Is that better? Aha! Yes, amazing. So, just give it a bit of time. So, while that's melting, you see at the side there, it's starting to go clear. Just really gently. I'm going to mix it in. And just put it down a little bit. It's starting to colour, and I don't want it to burn before we've got any of the other sugar in. So now that that's started to melt enough, just add a bit more. Pop the temperature back up. So it's just a slow process. And all the ingredients you can buy in a supermarket if you want. So it's 120 grams of cream. We use whipping cream. 80 grams of glucose syrup, which again is in the baking aisle if you want to use it at home. 20 grams of condensed milk and 2 grams of salt. We just really like to put a little bit of salt in because there's so much sweetness in caramel. And as you can see again, there you are. If there's a big lump like that, just make sure that you break it down. And make sure you keep the sides clean as well. Otherwise you'll find that they crystallize along the sides and have little lumps in when you've finished. Another version or alternative is you can make like a banana caramel or different flavour caramel. So just take out like 50% of what cream you would put in and just pop the puree in, or mash the bananas really smooth in a blender and pop that in. Just whatever kind of takes your fancy. Or if you want to infuse the cream with a flavour. So there we are. All the sugar's now into the pan, and we're just going to gently make sure it's melting. And then we're going to look for like a golden caramel colour. We just do this by eye. Now, the next little process is to put the cream in, and this caramel is very, very hot now. So make sure that you're not going to splash it on your arm or anything, which I did the other day. Got little burn marks to add to my collection. So what you're going to do is take the cream and put a really little bit in and stir it into the caramel. You'll see it goes crazy, it'll bubble up. And then once that kind of calms down, you can put a little bit more and a little bit more until that's all emulsified in. And then what you've got here is some cold cubed butter. So we'll let the caramel cool to 50 degrees and then hand blend the butter in. And that just gives a really thick and creamy consistency. So you can see we're getting there with the caramel. You see it's like completely clear, it's not like opaque or anything, which is what you want it to look at. And you can see it's starting to like smooth a little bit. So you just want to be really careful at this point, because when you turn off the hob, it will keep going for a little bit. So grab the cream. Can you see now? Yeah, a little bit in. Make sure you don't burn yourself. And make sure as well if you don't want to put too much in, otherwise it'll flow over the pan and you'll have a mess sitting on there. So a little bit, and then just keep mixing. You need to do it. My assistant is holding up the iPhone so you can see what's going on in the background here. Okay, so you've got the last little bit of cream still in. You can see it's like a beautiful caramel colour. What we're going to do is pop it in the pot, leave it to cool to 50, and then I'll hand over the butter in. Right then. So that's going to go on the side, and I'm just going to hand that in a bit. And here are your truffle shells. So these come pre-made. Can you see them there? There's a little hole at the top. You can just get them on Amazon, or we sell them in the shop as well. And then we've got the caramel. So we pop it in a piping bag. We want to make sure when we fill the truffle spears that there's no air, because any air in there will mean that mold will grow. So I'll do this here. Look, just squeeze that in. Make sure there's no gaps. Then just stop just before the top. So what we're going to do is temper some chocolate and then just cap it off so you've got no hole in there. I keep forgetting I've got 2 cameras on the go. Just make sure you do it like this. And post coronavirus lockdown, we do classes, and this is one of the things we make to kind of show you what you can do. And everyone loves it. Yeah. It's probably because it's a really messy job. It's good fun. And also, everyone loves eating caramel, to be honest. There we go. I'm not making a declared weird noise, so I can hear myself speaking about 3 times.
That's just because the camera's gone too close to it.
Oh, I see.
Oh, I see. Not a technology wizard, just a chocolate wizard.
Can't be good at everything, right? Thanks, Sean. Okay, so they're all capped, right? Now the fun part. I'm just going to sear my vent. Okay, so what we were saying before is that when you...
Eddie's just got a quick little question there about how you polish your mold.
I put vodka in a spray bottle, just spray them really lightly, and then, do you know the cotton pads you get in the supermarket, the circle ones? It just means there's not as much fluff coming off. And glue roll tends to leave itself in the mold, so we just use the cotton pads like this. I put 2 together, and just make sure that I get like really inside the cracks like this. These molds are a nightmare to polish, so I get Amy to do that. It's not a lie also. So yes, then we've got our chocolate, 45 degrees. So what happens when it's at 45 degrees is there's absolutely no crystal formation in there. So all the crystals are broken down. And what we want to do is make sure we've got at least 1% of type 5 crystal, which forms between 27 and 30 degrees. So what we're going to do is take out 2/3 of the chocolate onto the marble. We use marble because stainless steel, as soon as you put chocolate on, will just get hot like that and you'll not be able to cool it anymore. And what we need to do is move it around because, again, like I said, with the cocoa butter, it will start to set on the marble and then you get little pieces in your chocolate. So you're going to pour 2/3 out, we're going to move it around. And when it's at 27 degrees, we'll pull it back into the bowl. And then the chocolate left in the bowl will bring it back to 30 degrees. Now, what you then want to do is mix it really well, because what you want is the crystals to start joining together. So type 5 crystals are straight lines, and when they start to set, what they do is they join together like this. So they contract and they drop out of the mold. So if it's not tempered, it will not drop out of the mold. And also because it's a straight line crystal, you get the light reflecting off the crystal. So it's not a scary thing. I think people get a bit overwhelmed by it, but there's many ways to do it, and this is just one of them. And if you find you've taken chocolate out and it's not setting, just take a little bit more out and put it on the slab again. Maybe not 2/3, maybe like a quarter or something, and pop it on. So what I'm going to do here is, hopefully you'll be able to see it in the other camera, is just pour it onto the slab. And just remember, like, today is quite hot, so I'm going to take a little bit more chocolate out. Just make sure you clean the sides of your bowl down. So your main aim here is to make it as smooth and flat as possible. Like, the thinner it is, the quicker it'll cool. So just pop it nice and smooth, like this. And then just clean down your palette knife. I'm left-handed, so just remember that you need to do it with your other hand if you're going to do this. And then what you're going to do is bring this together and into the middle. So this is going to cause the chocolate to get some mixing as well as cooling at the same time. And either you can get a digital thermometer and knock your laptop off the bench, or what you can do is look really closely at the chocolate, and the type 5 crystals will start forming like tiny little dots in the chocolate in a straight line. And then you'll know to pull it off the slab. Now, if you go down a bit cool, it's not a problem, because the warm chocolate in the bowl will kind of melt that tiny bit of crystallization that you've kind of caused by cooling it too much. Okay, so I think there's a comment at the bottom. How long would the shelf life of a bonbon be? It's kind of a complex question. So
what he meant is, how long should the shelf life of the chocolate be?
Okay, so just chocolate or not the filling? So the caramel will have a shelf life of a month, because there's a lot of water in that, which will cause mold. The higher percentage of sugar you've got in a bonbon, the longer it'll last. But chocolate itself lasts a year, because there's no water in there. There's nothing that can cause it to grow mold inside. So when we like formulating a ganache or something, we'll put in about 33% sugar. But chocolate, this kind of chocolate is not a problem. Easily lasts a year without problem. But you need to keep it in like quite a cool room. So when it gets warm, what will happen is it'll melt and then start setting again. And it won't set correctly because it won't be tempered, and you'll get like what's called bloom on the chocolate. So my chocolate's getting thicker now. What I'm going to do is pull it off the slab, try not to pour it all over the floor, and back into the bowl and give it a good mix. Now give it a really good mix, and that'll start to form the crystals that we want to see. And then what we're going to do is take a little bit out in a piping bag. We're going to cap the bonbons that I've just filled, and then we're going to show you how to make the bars, which is obviously, it's nice and simple at this point because we've got all the molds ready, and we'll just add the flavorings that we want. So when you're flavoring chocolate, you can put oils in, you can put zest of citrus in, coconut, just anything without water, because chocolate itself has no water in it. So as soon as you put any water in, it'll interfere with the emulsification of the chocolate, and then you'll have it'll just split. And you can save it, but you'll need to make it into a ganache, so you can't make it back into the smooth chocolate that we see here. So I'm going to clean down the bench as much as possible. Okay, so we've got the bonbons that we filled, the truffles that we filled before. Just going to pop a bit of chocolate in the piping bag. Don't particularly need a lot. And then the smaller the end of the tip here, the more you'll be able to kind of control the chocolate that's flowing out of the bag. And then just pop it on here, a tiny little bit, just to cap it off. That will mean that the caramel's not going to come out, because caramel itself is quite fluid. You don't want to put too much on here because you don't want like a massive chunk of chocolate at the bottom of your one. Just tap it down. Don't make a mess. And that'll set. All right. Right, so we're going to make coconut and lime bars, so the white being in coconut. So the chocolate that we've got left over, we've got a microplane here. Just going to zest the lime into the chocolate. The lime zest is fine because it's oil-based rather than like the lime juice, which is a water-based product. And it just gives that kind of sharpness to the chocolate. And then what I've done is I've roasted off some desiccated coconut, and that just gives the flavor of the coconut. It's just a bit nicer, and also quite a nice texture. So just do that. We've got a scale somewhere with the container on. If you're putting anything larger in, like, I don't know, crystallized ginger or apricots or whatever you want to put in, just make sure they're small enough, because what I'm going to do is, I remember why I needed to do the piping bag, is pop it in a piping bag, because rather than filling your molds like kind of randomly, what I'm going to do is weigh it into the mold. So these molds should be 80 grams. And if you don't weigh it and you just pour as much chocolate as you want in and then scrape it off, you'll find that maybe they don't weigh 80 and you can't sell them, because obviously if you're saying they're 80 grams, they're 80 grams. Thanks, Jack. So it's all flavored up now. Just pour it in here. Yeah, ready. So I've got it on the scale. Because there's coconut in here, I'm going to make a slightly larger hole in the top of the piping bag. I don't want all the coconut stuck inside the bag. And then just pipe in 80 grams. What you can do is keep your finger at the bottom of the piping bag. As soon as you get to 80, just stop. Try and make it as flat as possible. It'll make it easier in the next section that we've got. So there we go. Now you can see it's not smooth at all. And there is air in the chocolate a little bit because I've been mixing it. So, sorry, this is really loud. So you can see now. Thanks. Did you mute it while I was doing that? All the bubbles will have risen from the bottom to the top, so you won't get any air bubbles in the chocolate, and it's all smooth, completely smooth. So what we're going to do is let that to set for a second, and then we're going to pop it in the fridge. You want to make sure it doesn't go in the fridge for more than 20 minutes, otherwise you'll get what's like a little bit of condensation on the chocolate, which will then cause sugar bloom. Okay, so back to the truffles. So the tops of the truffles are now set, and Ames and I are going to roll them. So this is something you can do at home. Have you got the... Amazing, yeah. So this is quite a simple section because what we'll do is we'll roll them in chocolate and then we'll roll them in cocoa powder. So if your chocolate isn't quite tempered, it doesn't really matter too much because nobody's really going to see it. So do you want to stand on this side? Thanks. So what I do is take this hand. I don't know if you can see which bit. Yeah. Pop a little bit of chocolate on the top of this. Grab some truffles. You can do 2 at a time, that's fine. Roll them around. And then when you put them into the cocoa powder, make sure that they go in separately. And Ames is just going to roll them around in there. What that'll do is it'll coat them in. Multi-talented, this woman. Look at this. rolling cocoa powder and holding the video so you can all see what's going on. So one at a time, pop it in, shake it around. And what that'll do is it'll make sure that the truffle is completely coated in cocoa powder. And then we'll let them to set a little bit for the chocolate to set. And then what we're going to do is going to take a sieve and just sieve off the excess, because you really do not want loads of cocoa powder in your mouth. The reason we coat these in cocoa powder rather than just chocolate is because the caramel, again, is quite sweet. So you really don't want to end up with like, it just gives a little bit of bitterness, the cocoa powder, and kind of finishes off the caramels really well. Okay. So looks like we've been on for 28 and 50 seconds. We're doing well. So we've got some bars that we made earlier just to show you, because the chocolate will take about 20 minutes to set in the fridge. So once it's set, you can look at the mold and you can see where it's released. And if it hasn't released fully, there's like a little section left. You just twist the mold, so I'll show you that now. So you take the mold and just 1, 2, and you'll hear it pop out. And then just really carefully, I'm holding these because I don't want them to drop out and then break. So like this. There you go. So there you've got, you can see the white. Yep, and you can see that there's no air bubbles in there. I'm trying to find where it's supposed to go. There you go. So this one, you can see, has a little bit of excess chocolate here, which is fine. Just pop it on the slab like this and break that off. You can eat it later. Okay, so what we'll do now is grab the sieve and we'll sieve the caramels, and then I think it's time it's finished. And then we can take any questions you guys have. I think at the bottom it's like, any questions? So what you're gonna do, pop them all in there. Sorry, it's fine. Luckily you can't see as much mess as we've made over here. And there you go. Beautiful round cocoa powder caramels and coconut and lime bars.
Thanks very much for that, Naomi. They look absolutely delicious.
Thank you.
And it was a great little demo you've done there. Let's see. There we go. So if anyone's got any questions or bits like that, so obviously we touched on using vodka to polish it, which is quite an interesting little tip, really. And using the round pad, so like what you'd use to remove makeup rather than cotton wool itself.
Yeah, we find that the cotton wool just leaves little pieces of fluff that you can't see until like a dark chocolate is inside, and then you drop it out and there's like little pieces that you haven't kind of seen with your eye. Or the blue roll is just a nightmare. It kind of breaks up and just gets everywhere, like little pieces of blue roll everywhere, which is a nightmare. So yeah. What
would be your tip for someone who wants to go and try and do a bit of chocolate? Have you got like a top tip?
Like industry-wise, I'd say try and get in touch with somebody who does it and see if you can work with them for a day a week. There's some good classes. So we run classes for making truffles, making bars, and we make sure that it's like approachable for everyone. So just everyone in the public really enjoys it. We made baubles at Christmas and then the caramels as well. I think just contacting people, see if you can kind of help, even for half a day. You see a lot in the kitchen. There's always a lot going on, and I think you can kind of get an idea of if it's something you'd want to do as a career. Yeah, definitely. So if someone wanted to make some at home, like with the tempering and stuff, how would they go about that? Well, in Wilko's, you've got a marble slab. These are wallpaper scrapers. So just grab one of those from a B&Q or something, and melt the chocolate to 45, 3/4 or 2/3 out onto the marble slab and just cool it. Another way of doing it, it's a little bit maybe less messy, is if the chocolate you bought, it comes tempered, it's like a little memory chip. So if you melt all your chocolate to 45, if you melt 2/3 of your chocolate to 45 and then add the set chocolate in, it'll slowly decrease the temperature of the chocolate. And when it gets to 30, that chocolate that was set, it will remind the warmer chocolate how it's supposed to set. So that's a little bit of an easier method. And if it's not cool enough, you just pour a bit more in. So yeah, that's probably the slightly easier method.
Yeah, it's the easy method to do at home for
And a
someone if they
little
wanted
less
to.
messy as well. Yeah,
So if they wanted to make homemade like Easter eggs and things like that, or chocolates for
and you can get
Christmas, they could do things
molds
like
as
that.
well. Like Amazon sell Easter egg molds, or I've got little Lego molds. So I feel like it's just an ice cube mold, and everybody absolutely loves them. So we had to make 85 boxes of Lego men the other week, and we were going a bit crazy, but it was great fun.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a lovely to have you join us today, Naomi. Thanks very much for that. I'm just going to put in a quick little video about Hospitality Action, and then I will speak to you shortly. Thanks very much, Naomi.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye.
Hospitality Action is a force for good. We offer lifelines to people who work or have worked in hospitality and find themselves in difficulty or crisis. We help people set their lives back on track. But not all of our stories have happy endings. For April, a secondary cancer diagnosis meant the best we could do for her was to take any financial worries off her mind.
I was diagnosed summer of 2018 with sarcoma cancer and attended Christie Hospital here in Manchester, and from there I've been on a journey with various chemo treatments and an operation. Oh, I've known about Hospitality Action for over 10 years. They've been very, very good to me. They have given me little Christmas presents. I came back on my holiday and I had a birthday present from them and a birthday card, which really surprised me. It was a nice little touch. I've been given a warming grant for heating, and I've been given different amounts of money paid at different times throughout the year. With VHA's help, I've been able to recently take a little trip down to London a couple of weeks ago, and with that I was able to sort of meet up with my friends, go out. We went to the West End, we went and seen the Tina Turner musical, and we had fun. You know, it doesn't take that much sort of to be with your friends and sort of having that sort of tranquility and fun. It's less pressure too. It's knowing that next month there'll be a sum coming in then too, and that'll pay off all the utility bills. So it's a safety net that's there, and I'm very, very grateful that it's there, that I'm able to use it.
Whatever life throws at you, isn't it great to know somebody's got your back when the going gets tough? Help us to help people like April, people like you. Hospitality Action. We've got you.